Hey guys, welcome to the woods. Well, I was thinking about a couple of scientific studies that, one I heard a long time ago when I was young, like my middle school or something like that, about how they had monkeys in a cage with their mother and other people, other other monkeys and people around too, because they're at a zoo or something like that, and the babies feeding off the mothers and thriving and everything's great. You have the baby in a exact same cage, but with an artificial mother and no other monkeys around, and they don't mature, they don't grow, they lose their appetite eventually, and we try to intervene and make sure they're eating. But it's more than the food sustenance and a properly acclimated, temperature controlled. I think the monkey had toys and everything else, but anyway, and the mother was an artificial mother, was had what were like breasts that had the milk coming out, so everything was as true to form as a baby could experience. But they shrivel up and die, and I always thought that was a really sad thing that someone had to do that study, but it has so many ramifications. It really hit me. I was like, man, it's that energy transfer, right? I mean, that's when I was really locking down on that concept, outside of my own little, child's mind of just my little world of blissfulness, to the fact that, there's more going on here. We're energy balls, we're vibrations, and we have an effect on each other. And there's a collective consciousness is sort of the culmination of all humans on the planet, and our sense of who we are and how we feel about ourselves plays a lot into how we govern ourselves, how we conduct ourselves, all that stuff. But here's another one that relates to that same topic. I just heard this the other day, and I shared it with, well, a lot of people. Most people had not heard of this. Some people had. So maybe I'm the only one who just found out about this, but I don't know when it was done, but not that long ago, I guess. Anyway, here's the point. They have cages with rats in them, and the cages with the rats that had 2 water bottles in them. One was laced with like heroin and cocaine and things like that, and one was just straight water. And the rats in the cage that didn't really have other rats, and it didn't have all the normal things that a rat would need to sort of be mentally healthy. Didn't have those things. And so then the rats, even though they had food and they could live in there for a long, long time, they had a bottle option with the drugs in it, and they took the drugs until they died. So, not surprising. But then you'd say, from that analysis, well, then we just got to take drugs away so that people don't, kill themselves. And that's pretty much what we're trying to do. And when we catch you messing with the drug-laced water, we punish you. But here's the other study that came out of this. Then they made what they called Rat Park, and it was really nice. It had other rats, and it had interaction, it had things to play and tunnels to run, and it was like a rat world would be. They only needed probably not too big an area, rats will thrive. So anyway, that's not important. You get the gist of it. So in that harmonious environment with the 2 same water bottles, one laced with drugs and one straight water, they didn't go for the drug water, and none of them died, and they didn't drink it. So there's a million things you can pull from that, right? It's sort of like the monkeys that don't thrive. It's like there's so much unanswered, aspects, so many studies that could come from that. But I felt it really sort of keeps one more thing to sort of keep me on path, to keep you guys on course, that it's your inner dialogue, it's your self-love. That's what the rats in the environment where they killed themselves didn't have. They didn't have the interaction, love dialogue going. Now in the rat world, they need each other for that rat love dialogue going on, so they can feel enough inner strength, inner love, acceptance of what is in their little rat, I think they called it Rat Park, that they didn't choose drug-laced water. They didn't need to check out from the moment. They weren't suffering. But if you're suffering because of your sense of self, or your sense of the wrongness of things going on around you, or things like that, then it doesn't have to be drugs either. People say, "Oh, I'm not on drugs. That story doesn't apply to me." But a lot of us, we're all to some degree on that paradigm between like beautiful, Rat Park can get nicer and nicer. Not as in you have more stuff, of course. Not that you have more things and life is easier per se. It's your inner dialogue. It's your sense of self. And that's what I'm trying to like have a daily reminder about, in case you haven't sort of figured out where this program's going. It's good for me too, is that I want to take time every day. Meditation's a great one, but I like to, meditation's out there. And I was playing with an app today. I listened to a bunch. I really kind of was diving into it to see what I thought about the whole program. But someone told me about it last night. And it was, I was like, I'd already looked into it. I had the app on my phone, but it's, now I'm going to forget the name of it. But it's a meditation, Wake Up, it's called. But it's an explanation of the whole process, why meditation's good, why this stuff works, a lot of stuff that I'm talking about. And then actual meditations, and then there's some teachings, and I think it's like $10 a month, I think, or something, $7 a month to get more depth out of it. But it was free to basically start it. But I feel like somebody's going through the trouble to put all that stuff together, and if it's good and I like it, it's more than worth it for me. But anyway, I think it might be a good tool. You guys could check it out. But I really like the information from Abraham Hicks. I like to, when I'm feeling a little bit like I need to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on, as she would say, and loving on myself. So it's she is Esther, Abraham is who she's channeling. That be one of those things that we should sort of make sure that there's some basic groundwork, which is much what this Waking Up app does. It could maybe do more, but more explanation of who we really are, to give some basis to say that, a person who can get really tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and can be open to the ethers, to the vibration, to the interpretation. They interpret an emotion. The emotion is given to you, and if you're really in touch with the moment, then you can perceive it and express it. And so no one's whispering into Esther Hicks's ears. She's connecting into the moment of now and feeling the answers to the questions that she's getting and things like that. So that might be helpful to people, but it might also be like, I never listened to it, so I have no idea what you're talking about, Dan. But anyway, called channeling, and everybody's heard of that. But it's a natural, normal thing that we all really do all the time anyway. It's just sort of picking up on the, when you have a thought, you're not playing a movie in your head and all of a sudden the movie shows this film clip. You're picking up, you're playing with the ethers of the energy around you. We now know you can measure brain waves on other people in the room, and your thinking will affect their brain waves. We know it's playing off of everybody, and the thinking and the ideas float in from the ethers around you. Just like I always say, when you're in your living room, all radio stations are broadcasting at the same time, all TV signals broadcasting at the same time. It's just a matter of what are you tuning to. So work on your little mind kingdom, and it's more than just turning away from self-destructive things. It's about the community that you will create when you're loving on yourself and you're feeling worthy and you're accepting yourself. You've got to accept yourself on a deeper and deeper level, no matter what your paradigm is and how much you think you are or aren't struggling. It's always the same thing. See if I show you some nicer trees. It's always the same thing. Just loving on yourself, accepting what is. And, one of the sad things I also thought about with that example, though, of the Rat Park compared to the drug-using ones and the ones who chose not to do the drugs, is on the drug front, when we find somebody who is drinking the drug-laced water, aka self-destructive, period, we punish them. We lock them up or drug them, or depending on what your vice is, slightly different response. But none of them are about, just get out of that mindset that feels so destructive and so, where our inner dialogues are very mean to ourselves, and no one really, I don't see a lot of energy put into alleviating that. how do we teach people? Because you can't just make your life easy. A lot of people have things really, really good. They've got really nothing they could find to worry about, but they're a wreck in their head, and they're struggling, and then they're drug addicts, or, you know, or spending to try to make themselves feel appreciated, or trying to impress everyone around them, or fighting with everyone, or, you know, there's a million self-destructive things that happen out there. So we're all on the paradigm of which kingdom are we living in. And I'm not saying that, you know, that the interesting thing is that drugs have the power to sort of bring you into some type of harmony with the moment and give you a sense to breathe, you know? And so when you are having inner turmoil, you need the drug-laced water. So there's no judgment on somebody for it. You need the busyness. You need the distraction from the moment, because the moment hurts so bad. So that's why I say it's not just a matter of being present with the moment and meditating. You gotta love whatever comes to mind, whatever you're fussing about with yourself, or whatever you're not loving outside of yourself. Look for where that stems from inside. What don't I accept about myself, or what's going on with what I'm doing that makes me want to judge others? Or what don't I love about myself, or what do I feel like I haven't accomplished that I have to try to make sure others are complimenting me, and others are appreciating me, and others are watching me, and others are seeing me? The inner core sponsoring thought that makes you say, hey, I need to impress somebody, or I need to care what they're doing. It's not that you don't care about people, but you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. You got to love on yourself. You got to build that self-worth. You got to build your own interpersonal skills, and find your little techniques that throughout the day you're getting focused on your breath. Even if it's just for a second, when you think of it, just follow that breath through, in and out, and get in some kind of rhythm with that, some kind of harmony, where you feel like everything's okay, and you just start reaching for that feeling of everything's okay. And then from everything's okay to everything's really, I could see how that could have been perfect the way that worked out. Or I can see why that person is seeing things from their vantage point, right? People, we all know, so it's so easy to get a distorted perception of the world around you. So if you see someone around you who has a distorted perception, or they're checked out because life's too difficult or whatever, why would there be a judgment in that? There's no judgment in that. It's just, let's just nudge each other to spend more time, you know, working on your inner dialogue, loving on yourself. Esther Hicks, that's what I was saying. I think it's a good one to listen to. She just has little 15-minute things on YouTube, and they'll just remind you. Other people are basically taking her whole weekend seminars and messages and all her channeling, and then breaking it up into little 15-minute segments and answering different questions. You can specifically ask for certain things that you're chewing on. But I think she does a really good job. It's really clean, and it's free on YouTube. So why not? But anyway, meditation, of course, is a piece of it. But that's you know, some minutes of the day, or maybe an hour of the day. Or I kind of call my meditation walk out in the woods, but it's for hours. But it's not you know, there's focus meditation too. So that whole word sort of gets a little bit tricky. And I don't want to say I have the exact tools that people should use. I know I've been working on. I know a lot of things had a strong influence on me, and I think that we could be spending a lot more time paying attention to the sensitive beings who are in touch with the harmony of the vibration and are giving us a message of love, like Abraham Hicks, or really Esther Hicks uses the name Abraham to give a sort of third party, you know. Anyway, it's just a thing that channels do, but it's really just the same tapping into the collective consciousness that we all do and have done, and I'm just nudging you to, you know, be a little more aware of the energy ball that you are, and the information that just floats on by like a radio station, you know. All frequencies are playing at the same time. Just where am I dialed? If you feel like there's everything needs to be fixed out there, you know, you got to adjust the dial inside. Turn off the outside information first coming at you. That'll give you a little breathing room. And love on yourself, and speak kindly to yourself. And it feels awkward at first, but everything good is a little tricky. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, that's your reminder. And other reminder is that I love you, and loving on yourself is all you really need to worry about. When you love on yourself, everyone around you will be more loving to themselves. That's really the magic of it. So, all right. See ya.